Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today, Business Application Integrations for Fast-Growing Companies. You will see your webinar pane in front of you. Please note the orange arrow will allow you to minimize or maximize the pane. If it is minimized, simply click on the orange arrow to bring it back. Feel free to submit any questions you have for our presenters throughout the duration of the webinar. Our presenters will handle questions at the end as time permits. If you're using your telephone to listen in on our webinar, please select Use Telephone. If you're listening in through your mic and speakers, please select Mic and Speakers. If the incorrect setting is selected, it will produce an echo sound. And with that, I would like to introduce Dave Burlington and myself. Dave is a partner, a part of our Cloud Solutions team at Armanino. Dave is an experienced software product executive specializing in building and scaling high-growth technology companies. Dave has deep experience in leading all aspects of the enterprise SaaS and mobile application products team. Dave has held a range of positions including Chief Operating Officer, Senior Vice President of Products, and Group of VP Applications and Technology. A little bit about myself. I'm a part of the product marketing team here at Armanino. I have a special focus on building business application integrations with an interest in working with best-of-breed software solutions. And with that, let's cover some of our learning objectives today. At the end of this webinar, you'll be able to understand the power of integrations in the cloud, discover the types of integrations other organizations have found value in, and lastly, review pre-packaged solutions which integrate best-of-breed applications to save you time and money. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
Thanks, Sartaj. Before we dive into the integration topic, I wanted to just take a few minutes and share some thoughts on cloud computing in general. Clearly, cloud has been getting a lot of attention. Recent Cloud Accounting Institute survey, over 75% of the participants indicated that they were using some form of cloud financials. Gartner predicts the cloud industry to be over $200 billion by 2016. So clearly, it's not an if, but it's a when and how that companies need to think about how they're going to adopt cloud computing to maximize this opportunity. As we talk with our clients, we've really found that there's multiple paths to the cloud. Everything from clients who just simply needed to solve a point solution, a pain point like expense management, others where entire departments have decided to move to the cloud, and so the entire finance organization or sales organization. And in other cases, particularly with newer companies, we've seen companies really have a cloud-only strategy from day one. But regardless, really, of how you got there, there's some common themes and topics, I think, that will help you ensure that you achieve maximum benefits from the cloud. One of the things about cloud, oh, we missed a slide, tailor-made solutions. Okay, can you back up one? Oh, let's leave it right there. So one of the things really unique about cloud is it really provides CFOs and controllers a great opportunity to optimize their businesses. And gone are the days of ERP, one size fits all, heavy customizations, and really everybody has to kind of try to shoehorn the same software in, even though it may not have been built for their business. And really, we can now pick individual point solutions that are suited for your industry, your business process. You can prioritize your project based on your pain points and goals. And this allows for sort of incremental implementations, which allow continuous feedback and a lot less business disruption. And again, before we kind of deep dive with Sartaj on the topic of integrations, I want to point out a few things that are pretty common across any company in any industry, things that need to be considered along with the specific implementation of cloud software. Really, the first thing is having a holistic view. Again, cloud can provide a very deceptive ability to go do very quick hits, solve a given pain point. But doing that without a comprehensive view of your business processes and best business processes and best practices can easily result in data silos that don't work together and don't really support your underlying business. So building a roadmap really allows you to think through all of your business processes, ensure that you have the most important ones prioritized, and then through that lens you can begin to do your implementations, but you have a much higher chance of your business processes being truly supported if you do have this comprehensive view and a comprehensive roadmap. Armanino's worked with over 300 customers in implementing cloud solutions. And, again, the focus is really not just on implementing software, but ensuring that world-class business processes are the result of the implementation. So the first big consideration, I think these are not in the right order. Back up, please. Okay. So next one. So we're going to deep dive a little bit more on integrations, but one of the key points here is the business process is cut across multiple systems. Whether it's procure to pay, order to cash, your planning. In almost every case, you're going to have multiple systems involved in meeting that business process. Cloud solutions have a very inherent advantage in being built from the ground up with open APIs, so they make it very easy to integrate, unlike kind of legacy on-prem systems. But it's more than just integrating data. You really need to incorporate the rich business meaning to support the business process. And let me give you an example of that. When you're looking at financial planning and analysis, you have to ask some very key questions to ensure that your systems are optimally integrated. What dimensions and attributes are you bringing over from your core financials into your FP&A? What level of detail are you going to do your planning? How many planning models do you have? What's the frequency of your planning? How do you want to reflect the results of your planning and budgeting back into your core financials? All of these things need to be considered in order to ensure that, again, your systems are orchestrated in a way that supports your overall business process. And Sartaj will be walking you through Armanino's prepackaged integrations that allow our clients to configure them very quickly to meet their business process, but ensure that over the long term, the systems remain integrated, are up to date, taking into account new versions of software and new functionality. So we'll be walking through that in a little bit. As I mentioned, all business processes typically cut across multiple systems, and as part of the roadmap process, really understanding that and understanding how, as you move through the roadmap and implement systems, ensuring that they're aligned so that the end users are experiencing a unified, orchestrated, consistent business process. And some of the key things that need to be considered here is a lot of the foundational data. So things like organizational hierarchies, department and account IDs, user IDs and roles. These all need to be kind of architected up front and then implemented consistently across systems, again, so that end users have a consistent experience and the overall world-class business processes is achieved. I think many people have experienced what happens when this doesn't happen, and you really do feel these kind of rough silos where you're literally having to go into a completely different environment to really finish a business process. One of the most often overlooked things when people implement particularly financial software is internal controls. And as you roll systems out, we absolutely need to ensure that you have the appropriate controls, separations of duties to prevent fraud and to ensure that you are compliant with the appropriate regulations. And additionally, companies that are looking to go public, typically a lot of technology companies, also need to consider Sarbanes-Oxley or SOX. The good news is many of the steps that you go through when you're implementing your core financials are similar to the steps that you need to consider when you're doing and implementing Sarbanes-Oxley and other controls. And doing them together can save a lot of time and a lot of rework and really ensure that you come out of the gate with highly compliant software that's going to scale to meet your business. Armanino's risk-based approach has been used with countless of our customers, again, to ensure that not only do they meet their compliance needs today, but that as they're growing and scaling, that they don't have a lot of rework down the road in order to ensure that they remain compliant, particularly for companies that are going public. Smartphone and device adoption have dramatically changed the way users interact and expect to interact with systems and data. It's also dramatically changed users' expectations of how that interaction should be. And the analogy I always use is it shouldn't be any harder to book a trip for business than it is to book a trip for pleasure. And things like Expedia, et cetera, have really raised the bar on the consumer side, and Amazon for shopping, the list goes on. And with cloud computing, we really have the opportunity to take that consumer-friendly paradigm and bring it to your end users. Again, cloud solutions have a very inherent advantage in the way they're architected in allowing for mobile access. But again, given some of the points we just discussed, if the systems feel like silos and the users are not getting that delightful consumer-like experience, you're going to see adoption drop pretty dramatically because, again, the tolerance for logging into multiple systems and having completely different look and feel, really when they're doing the same business process, that tolerance has been driven to close to zero. And, again, the good news is with a consistent roadmap and by factoring some of these things in up front, companies can and are achieving really democratizing the business processes where users, with their tablets or with their smartphones can do many of the business processes that used to require them logging on through their PC. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about user management. This is kind of the plumbing, if you will, of any implementation, but it's one that's often overlooked. And, companies need, particularly as they grow and the number of cloud solutions or any solutions they have grows, really needing a coherent and unified way of managing users, their roles, their permissions, and rights across multiple systems can really grow dramatically. And there's a variety of tools and technologies out there that can really allow for easier user management, but the key is to have a vision for this before you begin implementing, because again, the result of not doing this is, again, the data silos, the system silos, which will really drive your user adoption a lot lower. Along with this is unified single sign-on. Again, cloud technologies bring a lot of advantages, and most of them support single sign-on. And again, this allows your users to go through a business process, even though it might touch multiple back-end systems, without having to log in. And again, this is how you create that seamless, delightful user experience that allows you to push a lot of the business process work out to them. And with that, before I turn it back to Sartaj, I wanted to open it up for a quick polling question.
Great. Thanks, Dave. So the audience should see a polling question in front of you. The polling question is, has your department integrated any key business applications? The options are A, yes, we have integrated applications in the past. B, no, we have not, but have thought about it. Or C, no, we've never had the need to do so. We'll give everyone just a few moments to make your selections. And we really like using polling questions because it helps us understand where the audience is at. And as well, we share kind of the feedback and the results so that you can understand where you stand up next to your peers. So we'll give you just another moment, and with that, why don't we close the poll? Okay, so we have A being the lead here. Yes, we have integrated application in the past, and but still a quite significant number of you saying no, we have not, but have at least thought about it. Dave, what do you think about that?
Well, it doesn't surprise me, right? I mean, I think we're at a point in cloud computing where it doesn't surprise me that no one hasn't even thought about it. So, I mean, I think that's encouraging, and I think that people have probably had various levels of success, and I think a lot of the things, the good news is a lot of the things you're going to talk about will resonate with people because, they've had some experience, good or bad, in doing integrations.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. I think you're right. I think people have definitely either thought about it or have integrated some key applications, but it this space is really developing. So I'm excited to share with them, the new ways and the new things we're finding with integrations. And so with that, why don't we, one of the things we see when we work with clients is that there really is a vast landscape of business applications an organization can be using, right? It's your ERP system, your CRM, your budgeting forecasting tool, e-procurement, the list goes on. But there's typically a handful, maybe 5 or 6, that are absolutely core to your business and support them in a lot of ways. And typically what we see is that all of these applications are operating independent of one another. They're all managed and function separately. And the problem with that is that there's silos of data which are locked within each application, and many of your employees or the users of these applications are essentially wreaking the same data into different systems, right? Your ERP system and your budgeting forecasting or your CRM system could be requiring the same data, but your employees have to manually rekey it in or import-export it in at different times. Essentially what this causes is a lack of integrity of your data, right? There can be a miss manually bringing it in at some point. Sometimes a wrong version is migrated. Sometimes you have month end approaching and you realize, oh, I still haven't uploaded last month's actuals or transactions. And really what we're seeing and hearing from our clients is it's a constant attention, resource-hungry process, right? You constantly need someone to manage it, think about it, be on top of it, because otherwise the information you have is just not current. And as we know, resources mean time and money for an organization. So at Armanino, what we did is we took a step back and we really thought, with emergence of the cloud, where we see and how we see it affecting integrations. And if we go to the next slide, it's really a fully integrated landscape in the future. If we could re-envision the application landscape, we would say that with the cloud infrastructure, as Dave mentioned, in open APIs, there's no reason your key applications shouldn't be talking to each other. But I think it goes beyond just implementing X piece of data, migrating the right information at the right time with the right process. And those are really 3 key aspects of what we're seeing with the next generation of integrations, right? And of course, the core of that is no more manual rekeying or silos of data, no more even having to push a button for the data to migrate. It's fully automated, and can be scheduled at a time that's meaningful for your organization, right? Every organization is unique, so to have a cookie cutter integration that only migrates information at, the first of the month, that's just not interesting for organizations today. You could be forecasting or budgeting at, the middle of the month or the end or any other date, and you really need your business application processes to stay current with your process. And so one of the things that at Armanino we really pride ourselves on is, as we work with clients to implement our integrations, is we have a really robust and thorough methodology of understanding your business process. Like I said before, every organization handles and uses these applications very differently. For us to just come in as software experts and implement based on a generic model doesn't work anymore. We have a very thorough way of understanding your business process, asking why it's done a certain way, understanding what the logic is behind that, so that when and if we deploy our integrations, they can accurately reflect and be useful to those business processes rather than disrupt, which is also something we see a lot of. We've come across clients where they've had applications integrated in the past, and truly the integration is actually causing an additional step from them because, yeah, great, it's bringing in this piece of information to this other system, but it's not going in the right location, it's not coming in at the right time, and you actually just end up doing just as much, if not more work. If we go to the next slide, what we have also seen, is giving you some, I'm sure, known solutions here is having a focus on the key applications is also key. We understand as organizations you will not have the resources to integrate everything, right? And that's perhaps not even cost effective. And so what we urge organizations to do is think of your key core applications. And I'm sure most of you recognize these, and these are really just examples of the types of applications you could be using for your ERP system, for your CRM system. There's a few others on here, such as Coupa, which is a procure-to-pay solution. ClickView is a business intelligent leading software tool, and Easy is an equity management software. So, the thinking behind this is, again, that we understand you're not going to be able to integrate all of your applications, nor is that our recommendation, but we say that, you should definitely think of the 4 to 5 applications which are absolutely key and actually require the most rekeying and have the most synergies within themselves, and think of a vision for them, and think about what should be integrated between them and what processes overlap between them. And that's really how, we see the landscape shaping out. So if we move on to the next slide, I want to just touch back on this graphic for 1 second because I think what Dave had mentioned earlier was important. The other piece of successful and next-gen integrations that we're seeing is that they're fully supported and are fully automated. So what I mean by that is, we see a lot of times an organization can, be manually integrating or moving flat files or importing or exporting an Excel spreadsheet. This just plays back into the pain point of that just requires constant management. What we did here at Armanino is, we said, hey, let's take that pain away from our clients. All of our integrations are built in the cloud and they're fully automated and supported. First level support, your integrations are monitored, so you can understand and analyze, okay, this is the amount of information moving out of this system or that system, this is what my flow looks like, and fully supported. If your software solutions get an upgrade or there's a new version coming out, your integration doesn't break, right? You're not stuck for a week without having your key data. And we think that's really important and plays a big part into the larger story of where we see the landscape moving. If we go to the next slide, I'm going to jump into a few key integrations that Armanino has built, and we call them integration packs. And really, with the right configuring, every integration is a solution. Armanino has made some investments in building key application integrations, and you can find them all today at our Intact marketplace. And you'll see a lot more coming out as well. But I want to emphasize here, Intact is just one of the products we focus on and have key integration applications between. But we really serve a whole market of cloud solutions as well, and you'll get a highlight of that in the next couple slides. So the first integration pack that I would like to cover is, if we move to the next slide, it's called the Intact Coupa solution. So the Intact Coupa solution syncs Intact, which is a cloud-based ERP tool, and Coupa, which, as I mentioned earlier, is a procure-to-pay solution. And what this really does is it helps you achieve greater ownership of your complete P2P process. Our integration brings over actual balances, vendor master records, payments, budgets, all over from Intact to Coupa. And once that information is in Coupa, we bring invoices back into Intact. And from the clients that we have deployed this out to so far, what we're hearing back is really it's exciting stuff, right? We see that there's, of course, the eliminating of manually rekeying this data in, but what we've heard is it's really made the users of these applications more strategic and effective. There's a reduction in unauthorized spending. Users are staying on budget, and they are identifying saving opportunities with a lot of ease. There's real-time reporting of savings, expenses, liquidity, supplier performance across multiple locations. Also, there's a flexible workflows which automate and control the P2P process, which again, saves the organization money. And lastly, with this joint solution, the search, procure, invoice, expense, it's really all become a lot more easier, and to provide approvals from any mobile device or PC, bringing in the power of the cloud there. It's really made it a holistic and strategic solution in a lot of ways. If we go to the next slide, a couple of the customers we've deployed the solution out to include Marketo and Auction, and we had we've heard really great things back from them so far, and all of our other clients as well, and they found a lot of power and value in the solution. And that's really to give you just a hint of kind of the type of business logic we try to build in every integration. And as I mentioned before, this too is fully supported. It's automated. It can be scheduled, or manually. You can manually migrate information if you like to. So it's really a very well-rounded solution. With that, I would actually like to also share another solution we have, and we've seen a lot of interest for this one as well in the market. And this is really integrating Intact, as I mentioned before, and Adaptive Insights, which is the leading budgeting and forecasting solution today. And what you'll see is that this is a pretty robust integration. We bring over actuals, transactions, deferred revenue from Intact to Adaptive, which allows you to budget by real information versus, perhaps putting in assumptions for, say, mid-year or beginning of the year information, and then to bring budgets back from Adaptive Insights to Intact. And one of the new trends and one of the big plus points of adaptive insights we've seen in budgeting is rolling forecast, right? No one just sits and budgets for the entire year anymore. A best practice in this space is really continuously updating your budget because, as you know, budget can take 2 to 3 months, and more often than not, it's usually outdated by the time you even complete a budget. And, for rolling forecast to really yield its complete effectiveness, constantly having the most up-to-date information from your ERP system uploaded to your budgeting forecasting system is really key, right? If you're constantly having the most current actuals and transactions uploaded into your budgeting tool, you can more accurately budget for the next quarter versus having stale, old, numbers from last year, which you really don't have time to update. If we go to the next slide, I'd like to show you a little bit of the plumbing here. Again, this is part of our messaging on next-gen integrations, right? It's today configuring the integration properly is just as important as the software of the integration itself. For this example, Intact has 8 dimensions, which which is built in the product. What we allow you to do is we allow you to pull all 8 dimensions in to the respective adaptive budgeting buckets. And what's unique about what we've heard from clients is no two companies budget alike. Every company budgets by very different aspects to whatever whatever their business requires. And so configuring that to reflect your business process is really key, and that's exactly what we do here. And then we bring final budgets back into Intact after pulling in the initial data. And again, we've seen a lot of happy customers with this client, a lot of interest, and Adaptive and Intact are really placeholders for ERP and budgeting tool. Like we mentioned before, with emergence of cloud, it's really easy to integrate solutions with open APIs, and we can really do that for various different types of solutions. So I would actually like to take this opportunity to give you a short clip of this integration in action, and I think it'll give you a nice insight into exactly what one of our integration looks like and how it works. So we'll play one scenario for you.
We'd like to share with you a day in the life of 2 positions, the controller and the head of financial planning and analysis. For early-stage companies or smaller companies, this could be the same person. In this example, we have an organization that has grown to scale and adopts collaborative approach. Bill is the controller of Fund Company, and Sally is the FP&A individual. Bill closes the books in Intact and runs a report to compare the latest month versus budget results for his New York operation. Bill notices that the budget does not line up with the current month actuals. He knows that the original budget included assumptions that are no longer relevant based on their outperformance of the budget. Therefore, next month's actuals need to be compared to the updated forecast. Bill needs to send his Intact actuals into adaptive insights that Sally can update. Bill pulls up his console and selects the appropriate month and year to transfer information from Intact into adaptive insights. Bill can have this automatically run on a schedule, but in this example, he decides to manually activate the integration. He selects actuals to adaptive and brings over all accounts for April 2013. He then selects transactions and revenue recognition schedules for the same month to transfer into adaptive insights. Sally starts updating her forecast. Sally pulls up the multidimensional sheet in adaptive insights and evaluates the actual posting to the original budget and determines what changes are needed to the budget. Sally examines current month actuals to either leave the forecasted same or update the forecast with new assumptions. Sally determines she needs to make a few revisions based on a range of assumptions and makes a copy of the updated forecast. She then updates the version to show 3 months of actuals and reviews the revenue realization sheet. On the sheet, Sally decides to adjust the April percentage realization assumption due to March's results. She makes a change and saves her work. She then gets approval for the final forecast. Sally initiates the new budget transfer for April 2013. She selects the Budget to Intact tab, selects April 2013, and selects the appropriate budget. Then she hits the Send button. Sally notifies Bill that the budget is now in Intact. Bill is now ready to compare actual, original budget, and forecast on the same report. In summary, the Intact Adaptive Insights solution allows you to migrate actuals, transactions, and deferred revenues from Intact to Adaptive Insights for your budgeting and forecasting, and to bring final budgets from Adaptive Insights to Intact. The Intact Adaptive Insights solution by Armanino is a powerful tool to automate your data between two best-of-breed cloud solutions. To learn more about the solution, please email or call us today.
Great, thank you, Brian. So that was just a short clip into our Intact Adaptive Insights solution. And like I mentioned before, we have various different types of integrations, and that was just one example of it. One of the questions I saw that came through was, is Intact your only reporting system you integrate with? No, that's absolutely not true. We integrate with other key systems as well, and are definitely open to talking more about your needs after the webinar as well. But with that, let me turn it back to Dave.
Thank you, Sartaj. Well, I think, it's pretty clear. At Armanino, we've partnered with the leading financial cloud solutions, Intact for core financials, Adaptive Insights for financial planning and budgeting, Easy for stock-based comp, Microsoft Dynamics for CRM, Coupa for procurement. And, with over 300 implementations, one of the learnings we've had is really the need, as we would, go in, do projects, do custom integrations, the opportunity to do these in a way that was more standardized on a common platform, much of the logic pre-built and configurable, was really a win for our customers. And we're really, really excited about these solutions.
Yeah.
So hopefully today we've outlined some of the real opportunities within cloud, sort of integrations and beyond. As I discussed earlier, cloud computing has really allowed CFOs and controllers to take a lot more control of their destiny. In a sense, they're freed from the old world where they have, an overall IT roadmap, and their projects would often be kind of second priority to either infrastructure projects or maybe what were perceived as more mission critical, customer facing. And with cloud computing, now the CFO and controller can really be the conductors of their own system roadmap and business process roadmap. And many of them have turned to Armanino to partner with them to assist them throughout this process of creating and executing their financial roadmap. So we look forward to working with many of you, and I will turn it back to Sartaj.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Just in summary, today we covered the power of integrations in the cloud, the types of integrations other organizations have found value in, as well as a couple of the prepackaged solutions, between best-of-breed applications where we've saved you time and money. I think at this point I'd like to open it up for any questions and see if the audience, would like to see anything covered in a little bit more detail or has any more feedback for us.
Yeah, I see one of the questions is there a reporting tool that we use, and do we use a common platform? So the answer is yes. All of our integrations are built on a common, best, world-class cloud integration platform. We do have consistent error reporting, scheduling, administrative capabilities, et cetera, and they're consistent across all of our integrations. Additionally, we can do customized integrations on that same platform for customers if they have solutions that we hadn't productized, custom in-house solutions, whatever. And really, the good news here is the leave behind is a unified, consistent way for them to manage all of their integrations, not just the ones they purchased from Armanino.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things we've seen with clients is that sometimes to really support one business process, sometimes you need to integrate more than one application, and we're seeing more and more of that. And in that front as well, we fully support integrating the multiple systems. The platform we're using fully supports us as well, and we work with the client to understand, okay, to get this process done, what systems are required, and more often than not, we realize it's sometimes it's not one, it's more than one. So that's really interesting as well. All right, well, great. I don't see any more questions. So in front of you, you should see mine and Dave's contact information should you have any further questions. And I would request that you fill out the exit survey as you leave. It really helps us constantly improve our webinars and make sure the best information is presented to you in the best way. But with that, thank you so much for attending, and have a great rest of the day.